Ahoy there, nautical truth seekers. My name is Captain Aries Ezra, and you have just boarded the grand ship Nautical Awakenings, where we have daily deep dives into Esoteric and sail steadfast through waters of truth. Today, we embark on a voyage through one of the most misunderstood and under-questioned institutions in modern society, the American education system. On the surface, school appears to be a noble pursuit, a place where young minds are nurtured, where knowledge is passed down, and where dreams take root. But beneath the chalkboards and graduation caps lies a darker, more complex narrative. A system not built to empower the soul, but to regiment the mind. Grab your gear and set your compasses. We're about to get nautical. The American education system was profoundly shaped by the Prussian model, a system designed not to cultivate philosophers or independent thinkers, but obedient soldiers and compliant factory workers. This model, imported to the U.S. in the 19th century, emphasized standardized testing, fixed curricula, and an unwavering chain of command, reminiscent of military structure, more than a sanctuary for the imagination. What most history books won't tell you is that one of the key figures behind the formation of the American education system was influenced by Rosicrucianism, a mystical order rooted in esoteric wisdom, alchemical transformation, and spiritual enlightenment. The original intention was to initiate the youth into higher consciousness and ethical self-mastery. But as is often the case when ancient wisdom meets state control, the light was dimmed. The education system became a tool, not for awakening, but for obedience. It was industrialized and weaponized against the flowering of consciousness. What was once meant to liberate became a machine for taming. As the system grew, it adopted tools from psychological manipulation to maintain control. Enter the dark specter of behaviorism, championed by men like Pfeffer Skinner, who saw human beings not as spiritual entities, but as programmable animals. In Skinner's view, children could be molded entirely through external stimuli, rewards, and punishments. Pavlovian conditioning cloaked as pedagogy. This view was embraced eagerly by the architects of education. Gold stars for compliance. Detention for deviation. Slowly, the child's divine curiosity was shackled by invisible chains. The tendrils of MK-Ultra, the CIA's infamous mind control experiment, slither into this story as well. While MK-Ultra is best known for its clandestine use of LSD and sensory deprivation chambers, it also explored psychological control through repetition, authority, and trauma, all elements eerily present in the American classroom. While schools are not drugging kids with LSD, they are medicating millions of them with amphetamines and other pharmaceuticals. And the structure bells that condition time, desks in rows, constant surveillance, performance-based worth, is indistinguishable from a low-level psy-op. The IQ test, so often used as a measurement of aptitude, was developed within the framework of eugenic ideology. The belief that intelligence and worth could be quantified, ranked, and ultimately sterilized or enhanced depending on who held power. Standardized testing in the U.S. was not born from a neutral desire to assess learning. It was born from a desire to filter, to rank, and to exclude. It was about who belonged and who did not, who was gifted and who was disposable. In the mystery schools of Egypt, Greece, and Atlantis, it was well known that a child's first 7 years were sacred. The child was still connected to divine archetypes, still carrying memories of the astral and etheric realms. Ancient teachings held that a child, before the age of reason, lives in a state of pure soul impression. To rush this phase, to burden the child with rote memorization, forced sitting, and arbitrary rules was considered a spiritual crime. But what does modern education do? It starts earlier and earlier. Preschool, daycare, testing at ages 4 and 5, Instead of nurturing this sensitive time with storytelling, rhythm, nature, and warmth, we subject children to institutions that crush their spiritual sensitivity. They are disconnected from their innate knowing, from the dreamlike space where intuition and imagination flow freely. Here, we must mention the Trivium and Quadrivium, an ancient system of esoteric education used in the mystery schools. The Trivium, grammar, logic, and rhetoric, was meant to refine language and thinking. The Quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, was meant to awaken the soul to cosmic order and divine harmony. These systems weren't just academic, they were initiatory. They led to inner mastery. But these sacred arts have been completely removed from modern curricula, replaced by rote memorization and materialist dogma. The descent continued with educational reformers like John Dewey, who steered the system away from spiritual development and toward utilitarian pragmatism. Dewey's model viewed children not as unique expressions of soul, but as future laborers for the state. Schools became tools for social engineering, factories for shaping citizens who would serve the machine of industrialized democracy, not question it. Numerology and occult timing also laced the system. Why 12 grades? Why 180 days a year? Why start at age 5 or 6? These are not arbitrary choices. The number 12 is a number of completion in esoteric traditions. 12 zodiac signs, 12 apostles, 12 cranial nerves. But here, it is used as a loop, a cycle meant to close one in, not open one up. 180 degrees represents a half circle, a semi-journey, a life lived in half awareness. Children are indoctrinated during the times when they are most vulnerable to suggestion. The repetition of the Pledge of Allegiance, the rigidity of scheduling, the emotional separation from family, all of it weaves a subtle net. The message. Authority is truth. Compliance is safety. Obedience is virtue. Those who resist this programming are labeled ADHD, defiant, learning disabled. And what do? We drug them. We suppress the rebel, the questioner, the mystic. These aren't failing students, they're unbroken souls, but the system sees that as a threat. The system also ensures a form of cultural and ancestral amnesia. Indigenous wisdom, African cosmologies, and ancient spiritual systems are omitted, dismissed, or distorted. We glorify colonial history while silencing the esoteric traditions that once guided civilizations in harmony with the earth and cosmos. This is no accident. This is intentional forgetting, the suppression of memory to break the chain of sacred lineage and sovereignty. We must acknowledge the full scope of this system as a finely tuned mechanism of control. Then, we must act beyond it. Educate our children at home if possible, or work with awakened teachers to build sacred learning spaces. Encourage critical thinking. Reintroduce the mysteries. Tell the myths. Let them garden. Let them build. Let them ask questions that don't have answers. Real education is not memorization. It is initiation. It's not about stuffing facts into a child. It's about drawing wisdom out. The American education system is a battleground for the soul of humanity. Until we reclaim it, until we turn schools into sanctuaries for consciousness, we will keep raising children who are prepared to follow orders, but not their own inner truth. A new paradigm looms on the horizon: artificial intelligence. AI has the potential to completely dismantle the traditional education model. On one hand, it democratizes learning, granting anyone with an internet connection access to the full corpus of human knowledge. With intelligent tutors and personalized learning algorithms, AI can adapt to each student's pace, interests, and learning style. Students could learn independently, follow their curiosity, and bypass the rigid constraints of standardized systems. But there is a shadow side. AI can also be used to further automate surveillance, enforce ideological conformity, and harvest vast amounts of student data. If controlled by corporations or centralized governments, AI education may become just another layer of predictive programming, more subtle, more powerful, and harder to escape. The danger isn't in the tool, it's in who controls it and for what purpose. Will we even have an education system in the future? Or will it dissolve into a decentralized sea of self-teaching guided by intelligent systems and neural networks? That depends on us. The age of AI presents both a threat and a liberation. If used consciously, AI could help free us from the shackles of outdated institutions. But if we remain passive, it will become the next chain. If this voyage schooled your spirit, drop anchor in the comments and voice your opinion. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to join our merry crew, and ring the ship's bell so you won't miss the next deep dive. A special thanks to Dubby for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to support, check the description. This is Captain Aries Ezra, signing off from aboard Nautical Awakenings. Peace and love, my spiritual shipmates.